So to get a better understanding of the situation on the Philippines, we made a little clip. This is it.
Soon after his election in 2016 as President of the Philippines, Duterte launched his controversial anti-drugs campaign.
I will do it even if I have to kill you or be killed in the process.
Since then, an estimated 7,000 people have been killed by masked men, widely thought to be police officers who conduct extrajudicial executions.
Nakita ko po, pinusasan si tatay, tapos pinasok sa iskinita sa may dalawang putok na.
Fire. In the south of the country, Duterte has taken extreme measures to stop a small group of militant insurgents believed to have ties with ISIS. Abu Sayyaf's ruthless jihadist group is notorious for kidnappings for ransom and for killing their victims if demands are not met. Although press freedom is guaranteed under the Constitution, journalists have to endure violent attacks and threats. And the Philippines is considered to be one of the deadliest countries for journalists.
Those are the markers of those fallen media practitioners.
Still, the country has hundreds of newspapers, TV and radio stations. One of the few critical independent news outlets is Rappler, an online news platform started by former CNN anchorwoman Maria Ressa in 2011.
Unfortunately, she's not able to join us here today, but Marisa recorded a message for all of you, so let's have a look.
I'm so very sorry I can't be there with you in person today, but this day is critically important for all of us at Rappler. Impunity is a word that we've lived with for a little more than a year and a half now in the Philippines, and impunity both in the physical world and in the virtual world. And one of the things that we've been trying to do from the very beginning of Rappler is to make sure that rule of law, that impunity does not go unchecked. I think what we saw in the May 2016 elections was really a candidate who used social media effectively to win the top post in the land, and that is Mayor Rudy Duterte's campaign social media accounts. We saw that campaign machinery essentially become weaponized and used to stifle dissent at the beginning against the extrajudicial killings in the drug war. And so from July, August, September, we began to gather data on disinformation. Not misinformation, but disinformation. Information that is willfully misleading people to create a spiral of silence. And we found out that 26 fake accounts can influence up to 3 million others. This is exponential spread of disinformation. That was when the attacks on Rappler began, and it was relentless. That was when I personally was getting about 90 hate messages. This was an average of 90 hate messages per hour for a month. I think the difficulty about it is you have no idea when this turns into a real threat in the physical world. And that is the biggest challenge to the platforms, the tech platforms that allow this. I think you have to more clearly define the line between free speech and inciting to hate, which is exactly when it will move from the virtual world to the real world. I don't regret doing this. I think it was important to shine the light. That is the best defense and the best offense. People need to know when they're being manipulated, and the data shows it very clearly.
There is a replacement though. Maria is not here. Somebody who is here, also from Rappler, is Natashya Gutierrez. She's an investigative journalist and the bureau chief Southeast Asia for Philippine news platform Rappler. And Natashya's most recent work was a VR documentary, the first of its kind in the region, on the war between military troops and IS-funded terrorists in the Philippines. She has also reported on the network of online trolls, bloggers and vloggers with ties to the Philippine government, some of whom harassed her personally on Facebook. How difficult is it for you personally to work for your online website?
Well, easy right now because I'm here. I'm happy to replace Maria for this event. You know, I've been with Rappler since the beginning. We've been in the Philippines for 6 years now. And when we started, none of us saw this coming. You know, when you asked earlier, you asked Nani what country is hardest for journalists. Under my breath, I was like, the Philippines. The Philippines is the second most dangerous country in the world to be a journalist right now, second only to Iraq. It's on a daily basis we get harassed for any sort of critical report, something that has increased exponentially since this president came to power. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of our president for unfortunately negative reasons. But yeah, it's very difficult right now, and it's honestly the hardest time to be a journalist in the Philippines today.
So the harassment, is that only on social media or the personal threats?
So far, the death threats have been online, but again, at what point does it cross into the real world? We don't know until it's too late. All it takes is one lone wolf attack, one person who sees all these attacks and thinks it's okay to take it to the physical space and to actually attack you in the real world.
Right.
But one of the reports that I've actually done most recently was the first of its case, and it was not a journalist. It was a netizen who was critical against the administration. She got attacked online. Her account was cloned, and it posted a bomb threat against the president. And now she's facing charges before the Department of Justice. So that's the first time we're seeing offline attacks on a regular citizen turn into a possible physical threat.
Why do you still work there? And how long can you continue?
If I don't work there, then who would, right? You know, Rappler right now plays a very important role. We're independent, despite the president himself accusing us of being owned by the CIA, and this is something people in the Philippines believe. But if we don't do it, who will? We're independent. Maria, when you have a boss like that who stands up to this sort of attacks and dissent, I mean, you don't back out, right? You stand together and you keep going.
Can you write openly about what you think or what you find effects on the president?
Yes. You know, I hate it when people say Rappler is anti-Duterte. We're not anti-Duterte. We're critical of the administration, as any media outlet should be. We continue to be critical, and when there are things like the drug war that is raising questions and huge human rights violations, we write about it. The way it's phrased by trolls and bloggers is that we're destabilizers. We don't believe in our president. We're trying to oust this president. And it's a sort of sentiment and conversation or language that we've never seen before. It's just vitriolic, and the death threats, the rape threats on a daily basis. The goal is to silence us, but we're not going to let that happen.
Very good. Is it fair to say that you are the last island in the Philippines of free press?
You know, the president has focused on 3 specific critical news outlets: a newspaper, a TV station, and an online news website. The newspaper, the family that owns it, was so intimidated they sold their shares. The TV station has been threatened that their license won't be renewed, so they've toned down, and Rappler's the only one standing right now. So we really sort of feel the pressure and that wrath from the online trolls and the president. So this specific moment right now is the hardest that we've had since he came into power.
Is there anything we can do here?
Yes. You know, the reason Maria isn't here right now, she's in Washington, D.C. We just won a Democracy Award from Madeleine Albright's foundation, and now we're here. And so that's encouraging to us to know...
You are getting noticed, but the story about press freedom in the Philippines is not a story
Absolutely.
That you see reported everywhere.
I agree, and that's why I'm so excited to be here and to tell you guys what's happening and how severe it is in the Philippines. But what can you guys do? Well, global organizations, we work closely with them. On the short term, I think it's important to demand for governance from technology platforms who need to be more responsible. Facebook needs to step up and do something about fake news. There is no way I can report every single attack, because then, you know, every attack will take about 3 minutes to report. If Maria's getting 90 attacks a minute, that's going to take her 2 days to report, and we're not going to be able to do our job. So these platforms need to step it up, and that's why we need global organizations to do that. On a medium term, we'll probably need help in media literacy in the Philippines. But right now, we just need people to hear what we have to say and to stand up with us and to acknowledge the work we're doing.
Thank you so much. You're a great ambassador for your website. Thank you. And maybe you will stay here, but listen, maybe there is some good news from Leon. Leon, I give you the stage about the Philippines.
Okay. So one of the things that I reserved for this part of the event is that today we published a call to action signed by 60 media journalists and media support organizations, in which we ask media to no longer hold back from telling the stories about Maria Ressa, stories that you've heard today, because we need to highlight those stories in the media. We have to use the power of the media to tell the stories about what our colleagues are coming across when they bring the news. When they use their audiences and platforms, the world will have to listen. So we can break the silence. This call to action is open for co-signature by you later when we have a drink. And my urge to you is please do sign up. We can break the silence. One of the things that we have decided is that we are going to earmark 25,000 euros for the fight for press freedom and the support to independent journalists in the Philippines. And we are going into discussions with Maria Ressa on how to use that best. But we think the media literacy component and the fight for an end to digital harassment is an important issue that has been under noticed, and that is what I'm happy to announce. So we can talk about that in more detail, but one of the things I also want to announce is that we are currently in negotiation with the Dutch Broadcasting Organization to produce a documentary about Rappler. Thank you.